I see Orchestral Tools Metropolis Ark libraries as 5 personalities of the same one massive orchestra. Their instruments purposefully grouped into blends that emphasize the character traits of each library. Today, I will characterize these personalities and let you listen to their unique voice so you understand better what one of the most famous sample library series is all about. The principle of grouping instruments either of one section or creating blends between them has 2 consequences. One limits you in your freedom to arrange musical ideas in precisely that instrumentation that you want to. And one inspires and encourages you to experiment with these carefully selected orchestral sections and create soundscapes that work really well. Both of these arguments are equally valid in my opinion. Listen to your inner composer voice. And if you really need full control over each section, check out the Berlin series. But if you want a functioning, monumental orchestra, Metropolis Ark delivers. The entire Metropolis Ark series is recorded at Teldec Scoring Stage in Berlin. Not only does this lend the series a nicely consistent tone, but also a nicely consistent, very big tone. Thanks to Teldecs, there's a lot of gorgeous roominess in the samples that fans of Orchestral Tools love. Fans of dry samples with a high degree of control, not so much. I like that tone a lot. Presence of the room and the way the library was recorded and mixed gives Metropolis Ark a very realistic sound in my opinion. That sense of sitting in a concert hall in front of a real orchestra is strong here. When listening to the instruments, there's a certain distance between you and the player, which makes the illusion of a real orchestra playing quite convincing. Let's discover the 5 personalities of the Metropolis Ark Orchestra. 1. Bold and epic. Metropolis Ark 1 is Mom's favorite child, and probably the most well-known member of the family. An extroverted A-grade student with beaming confidence, a knight in armor designed for epic music. Ark 1 consists of orchestra sections, a choir, piano, and a band with an electric guitar, bass, and drums. It skips most woodwinds and offers only the low woodwind range with bassoons and contrabassoons for additional bass power. Instead, it focuses on a wide array of brass with trumpets, 2 horn ensembles, bass trombones, cimbassi, and tubas. The male and female choirs add grandness to the sound, and the piano and band provide additional color. If you're wondering what makes Ark 1 designed for epic music, it's, for example, the loud fortissimo dynamics, cellos and basses grouped in octaves, a reduced focus on woodwinds, and a lot of low brass. The strings are divided into high and low strings, both energetic and loud. High strings can do octave and unison spiccatos to pierce through the wall of sound, and a 9 horns patch with legato, marcato, shorts, rips, and more is our go-to tool for proud melodic statements. The large array of low brass comes in handy for writing epic orchestral tracks, and the choirs can do both sustains for chords or legato melodies and short syllables for high-energy dramatic accents. Ark 1 is a great foundation with core articulations for a big sound. 2. Dark and quiet. Metropolis Ark 2 is Ark 1's introverted emo brother. A rumbling aura of depth and darkness surrounds it, and it's harder to grasp than its oh-so-concrete large counterpart. And yet it still has a faint and vulnerable sense of beauty to it. The instrument range widens up in Arc 2. We now have mid-strings join the high and low strings, as well as a 6-harp ensemble. There's a lot of interesting low ensembles like bass flutes, bass and contrabass clarinets, euphoniums, Wagner tubas, and more. A children choir, female choir, and deep bass male choir allow more nuanced vocals than Arc 1's epic-focused choir. There is low percussion with some really interesting samples that create depth, an organ, harmonium, and a 3-piano ensemble. Articulations focus a lot more on softer playing techniques, ranging from sustains over swells to more exotic stuff like flageolet glissandi strings, flutter-tongue brass, and multiphonics woodwinds. 3. Punchy and percussive. Metropolis Ark 3 is the high school bully, entitled The Beating Orchestra for a reason. This one beats you up, and it does it well. I'm not sure Orchestral Tools can confidently say that no instruments were heard during this recording. The library is divided into full section orchestra patches with hit articulations and rhythmic repetitions. So, for example, a full strings patch, full brass, woodwinds, or percussion orchestras. Then the same sections but separated into high and low ensembles for more control, a strings quintet for a more focused sound, and a large variety of percussion ensembles, solo drums, and many types of auxiliary percussion. Articulations focus a lot on accentuated shorts, dissonant tonal stabs, repetitions, crescendos, and decrescendos. Except for the crescendos, pretty much every sound has an attack and gives our compositions rhythm and definition. Arc 3 is a no legato zone, and besides the short articulations and time-synced repetition sequences, features extensive dissonant sound clusters. 4. Focused and precise. In our story, Metropolis Ark 4 is the surgeon with anger issues. Where Arc 3 uses fists, Arc 4 works its way with a scalpel to cut through and make an entrance. It's the front row of the Metropolis Ark Orchestra. With a crisp sound, focused section size, and a wide dynamic range, it's perfect to either add detail and presence to the ensembles of the other parts or to be used standalone. To Arc 3, Arc 4's instruments are divided into full section patches like string orchestra, brass orchestra, and woodwind orchestra, a mixed choir, and full orchestra, which are awesome for layering and adding depth to a track, high, mid, and low strings, and a whole lot of instrument blends in the woodwind and brass sections, plus split male and female choirs, as well as percussion blends and ensembles. Articulations cover a lot of ground, with sustains and legatos, multiple marcado and staccato types, trills, and crescendo/decrescendos. Arc 4 introduces a second legato option called Power Legato with more expressive transitions, as well as power sustains played more intensely. Together with the broad dynamic range, the articulations allow Arc 4 to support and enhance both the loud ensemble of Arc 1 and the quiet, darker sections of Arc 2 with energy. 5. Utility and function. Metropolis Ark 5 is the nanny on steroids and supports and nurtures our little family. But don't be mistaken, if we don't behave, it'll slap us into another galaxy. With multiple ensembles within the same section, the focus clearly lies on utility here. A full strings orchestra, a large full strings orchestra plus winds, high and low strings patches, and a strings quartet take care of our composer needs. Some patches focus on trailer-like spiccato articulations, and others on pad-like supportive sustains. Brass ensembles come in normal and mellow patches, plus a few dedicated sections like trumpets and flugelhorns. There are high and low woodwinds, male, female, and mixed choirs, 4 useful instrument blends, and analog synths to add a hybrid taste on top. Articulations like fanfares, rips, glissandos, and swells, as well as functional techniques like undulating chords, shepherd tones, and playable runs, add the kind of utility that an orchestra needs to massively build tension and release it with a bang. Together, these 5 form a team that works together hand in hand. Each member has its unique strength and can help out when one of the others reaches a barrier. Thanks to the consistent tone, it's no problem to use patches interchangeably and to use all 5 libraries to build a big, sonically coherent picture. Overall, I see Metropolis Ark as one orchestra that works best when played loud and has a gorgeous, massive, yet natural sound. It's now available as a SINE bundle at a reduced price. Check it out, slap that like button, and I will see you soon.